Hi, I'm Chris, and I'll bet you're here because you're wondering how much a wheelchair ramp costs. Well, today I'm going to cover the different types of wheelchair ramps there are and the pricing for each one of those. So here we go. The cost of an aluminum wheelchair ramp depends on the amount of ramp material needed. As of 2023, you can expect to pay between $150 and $200 per linear foot for modular aluminum ramp, including handrails and any necessary hardware. Installation labor usually costs between $60 and $100 per linear foot, and on average, that installation is going to take about 4 hours. So a good example would be if your home has 3 steps, your total cost, including labor, may range between $5,500 and $8,500, depending on the ramp layout. Also, here's a pro tip. If the cost of an aluminum ramp doesn't fit into your budget, you may want to check with your local provider about renting or rent-to-own programs. Steel wheelchair ramps install a lot like aluminum ramps, but they're usually slightly more expensive. You can expect to pay between $200 and $250 per linear foot for a steel ramp. Installation is going to run you between $60 and $100 per linear foot. Not only is steel a little more expensive than aluminum, but it's also important to consider the longevity of your steel ramp. If you plan to keep and use your ramp for a long time, you should know that steel can eventually rust and corrode when aluminum won't. Even though ramps are usually protected by factory paint, over time that can scratch and peel off, leaving it exposed to the elements and therefore rust. For this reason, our company doesn't install steel ramps. Next, we'll talk about wooden ramps. The pros to wooden ramps are they can visually blend into the surroundings of your deck or your porch, and the material is usually slightly cheaper than aluminum or steel. On the negative side, wooden ramps take longer to build, they require a lot more maintenance, and you're probably going to need a permit. At $100 to $250 per foot, wooden ramps are pretty comparable to the price of metal ramps. However, wooden ramps are more labor intensive than metal ramps, so you'll likely have higher labor charges. Each board has to be manually measured and cut on site. Not only that, but it takes a licensed builder between 2 and 5 days on average to install a wooden wheelchair ramp, depending on size. You'll likely be charged between $60 and $100 per linear foot, and the cost can go up depending on if your ramp is sitting on top of the ground or if it's anchored in concrete. You're also going to need a permit from your local government, which can run between $100 and $300. Composite ramps look very similar to wood, but the decking is actually made out of a mix of wood fiber and plastic. This combination creates planks that last longer than wood and don't require staining. However, composite costs more than wood, so just be prepared for that. You can expect to pay between $200 and $250 per linear foot for composite wood ramping. Installation costs are similar to wood decking, and they come in between $60 and $100 per linear foot. The bonus with composite versus wood, though, is you won't have to stain it, and it will last a lot longer than wood. The installation process with composite is very similar to wood decking, so you can expect it takes 2 to 5 days to install. Of all the ramp materials we cover in this video, concrete comes with the highest price tag. Prices for concrete are usually measured in cubic yards, but in order to make this an apples-to-apples comparison, you can expect to pay between $250 and $350 per foot of 36-inch wide concrete ramp. Labor costs can be upwards of $100 per linear foot. However, all of this is really rough estimating. Concrete ramps are complicated because you're dealing in volume. For example, sometimes if a ramp is long enough and high enough, a retaining wall has to be built and sand added in order to maintain the slope. If that's the case, you're looking at higher labor costs and higher material costs. Suitcase ramps get their name because they fold in half and have a handle that allows them to be carried, much like a suitcase. They range from 2 to 8 feet in length, and they're really meant for portable, temporary use, such as getting up over a curb in a parking lot. Prices can range between $175 and $600, depending on the length of suitcase ramp you need. Now, we get people that call us a lot thinking that a suitcase ramp will be suitable for their home when they have several steps going to the entrance to their home. But suitcase ramps really aren't meant for that purpose. They don't have handrails, they don't really attach to anything, and a lot of times they're much too short for the amount of rise that you have on your front porch or going up to your door threshold. Since the maximum length of Suitcase ramps is usually about 8 feet, they're not suitable for anything over 8 inches of rise. Put that into perspective, most steps are about 8 inches. So if you have more than one step on your home, a Suitcase ramp isn't going to cut it. Rubber ramps are sometimes called threshold ramps. They're usually used for low rises, primarily for wheelchair ramps to get up and over the threshold of a door. Prices are usually determined by the thickness of the ramp and usually range between $35 for a 1/4 inch of rise all the way up to $450 for 2 1/4 inches of rise. Typically, threshold ramps don't go above 2.5 to 3 inches in rise because there are no handrails on the side and it becomes a safety issue when you get much higher than that. Thanks for watching. I hope we've answered most of your questions regarding ramp pricing. If not, feel free to reach out to us in the comment section below or find us on our website or give us a call.